but I've seen for a long time, and Adam, I'd love for you I love your opinion on this, but I've seen a lot of by the lobbyists, by the big tech companies of why we do infrastructure for the last 20, 30, 40 years. And now, as advocates like pedestrian dignity and other folks have been elevated different voices, now we're starting to think that we have to curtail to the citizens, the community. But that's kind of you might think that's such a basic concept, but that's really a new concept that a lot of cities are starting to think about in terms of instead of looking at your parking minimums and what's needed for a new mall or a new Walmart, starting to think about what the local community-based organization is advocating for, what the bike ped community is advocating for, what the disabled or visually impaired community is advocating for, and curtailing it towards that. And that shift has only recently, in the last, like, I'd say 10 years, started to go in that direction. Um, and, uh, uh, and that we have to continue to carry that torch forward. But Adam, do you feel like you've seen the same thing in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak for the city of New Haven at least. Like, instead of trying to incentivize big box store developments on the fringes of town, we're really starting to see a focus from pretty much everyone in town that we want our city to be a livable place for the people who live there and not for the people who are just kind of passing through. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think we repealed like here, but there's just a lot of like these surface parking lots that are for craters in the middle of town in order to serve, free parking for cars that are now just being turned into housing and mixed developments. And we're just saying, screw the parking, we're putting housing here. And we're seeing more of that. We're seeing more connections. We're seeing a desire to put in public spaces where people can gather, um, within some of these new developments or just in general. So yeah, I think there's a pretty big appetite we see here that people want more livable human scale cities and are starting to finally see the destruction that the accommodation of private vehicles has done to these places.
Adam, so with traffic engineers' solution to traffic to drive-throughs being to order drive-through employees to work faster, is Hamden doomed to the same drive-through apocalypse as Trumbull, Connecticut is?
Yeah, so Hamden, so that's the town I live in. It's one town north of New Haven where I work. They recently replaced a walk-in only Starbucks with parking with a drive-through Starbucks, and just the layout of it is, I mean, the entrance of the driveway is at other driveway intersections. But yeah, like the first day it was open, the whole drive-through filled up, which is just incredible because people were frequenting that location before without a drive-through just fine, and it was causing all sorts of messes. Um, and I think the town governments like to approve these new developments because they new renovated store. Like, it'll look nice, it'll be good for business, it'll help our economy, it'll be convenient for people to get their coffee. But in reality, it just makes it entirely inconvenient. And I feel like a lot of these towns aren't realizing that if you keep designing infrastructure to make it easier to drive your car, you're going to get more cars and you're going to get all the traffic problems that come with it. So hopefully they see what's going on there. But we see this trend, especially with Starbucks, that they keep replacing all their locations with new renovated locations that have drive-throughs where they didn't have them before.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's like pretty much one of the best examples I can think about induced demand, right? You build literally new car infrastructure, and you just literally induced 10 times worse traffic. And it's a pretty, instead of having to study an intersection over the course of 10 to 15 years, you just literally have before and after photos of a drive through. It's like, look, everyone used to park and go in, and now we have an even bigger traffic problem because we built for it, right?
yeah, it's incredible that you see the difference the day it opens. Whereas if you add a lane to a highway, it might take a few years to see that traffic increase. But here it's instant, like case study, real life.